Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your life on your terms. I'm Sheila Mack, your host, and today we have special guest Macy Matarazzo. Now, her details are she's a girl of the 70s. Success for Macy was climbing the corporate ladder saying, I don't need a man, but wanting Prince Charming. Then finding herself in her 40s alone, convinced that if love hasn't happened, she's unlovable. Then, when she stopped winging it and decided to do whatever it takes to figure out this love, before long she married Larry, the perfect match. As she shared her story, others found love too. So she quit her six-figure gig to help singles all over the world find the one using her super loved system. Oh my goodness. Well, welcome to the show, Macy.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for all that you do for relationships and people changing their lives. It's so awesome.
Thank you. So I would love to hear a little bit more for the audience about your journey, maybe some of the rock bottoms and how you got back on track and finally found love.
Sure. I mean, my experience was, like you said in the introductions, growing up in the 70s, there was this interesting combination between seeing on TV the fairy tales, the Brady Bunch, the love stories that seemed to just magically happen for people. And then on the other hand, hearing, you need to you can be an independent woman, you can have it all. And I always just thought from that if it's going to happen, it's just going to magically happen for me, and then I'll have a family and I'll do the things that I saw on Brady Bunch. And that's not what happened. I mean, I found myself kind of waiting and hoping and wondering what's happening. And if someone came into my life, I thought, okay, well, I guess this is good. They like me. I may as well try to make it work. And what that led to was failed relationship after failed relationship. And then later in life, we start getting into more technology, right? The modern dating world. And I dabbled in the modern, well, I would say online dating, probably the first one on the sites where you could know everyone. And that was challenging too. So there was some shame and feeling like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. And it wasn't until my 40s when I realized it wasn't working. I mean, I needed to figure something else out. And I really made it this fierce mission of mine to claim my love story and figure out what it would take. And when I did that, I did discover some things. I mean, I was not 20 anymore. And there's a lot of things I could find that maybe served 20-year-olds or $100,000 matchmakers, but there wasn't really anything that fit me as a person who wanted a real soulful relationship. And that's really what came together in this sort of magic formula I call the super love system. And when I did that, soon after, a whole new caliber of person showed up. And within months, I met my now husband, Larry. And within 3 months after that, we were engaged. And this is the kind of thing that I saw over and over again when I shared it. And that's when I knew I had something that wasn't just something that worked for me. It's something that really can help others too.
That's beautiful. Wow. And what a journey. How interesting to find someone and figure out the system to that, or the way to really find someone that's aligned, that you're willing to have a life with. And, you think some people think, well, it's just women that are looking to settle down. But at a certain point, there's certain men that definitely want to find somebody too. And it's like you're looking and you can't find the person that's aligned unless you have some type of a system or way, because it's such a big world now. Yeah, so I'd love to hear more about how you went about that, or what you could share.
Yeah. Well, I boil it down to a couple things. I mean, one key thing, which is going to sound probably painfully obvious when you hear it, but it is actually a powerful step, is that I made a decision. I said, you know what? I'm having this. Up until then, I can honestly say that I spent a lot of time focusing on making money. I had 2 houses. I had a really good job, and I was really more concerned about that, and dating and the relationship thing became kind of a peripheral thing. But in my heart, it was very important to me. And so there was kind of that disconnect, right? It was, my heart was saying it wanted something, and I knew I wanted that, but then my actions were focused on everything else. So when I said, okay, I'm having this, I'm making finding love a priority, I literally felt things shift in my being. And it did then result in different steps. And I can keep going if you want. Do you want me to continue with 4 steps?
You know what? Let me,
Yeah.
one thing that came to me is something that Tony Robbins says all the time. It's the moment that we make our decision, our destiny is shaped. And that is
Yes.
exactly what happened with you. That's incredible. So go ahead.
I love that you said that. I love that you say that, because it really is. It's like when you're saying yes to something, that is done. It is inevitable. Then it's about actually doing the things that kind of affirm and support that, and to bring it into actualization. So the next piece to that, I would say, for me, was really getting clear on who that person is for me. And once again, these things can sound really simple, but when I actually did that in that time, I recognized that I was basing so much of what I thought was my person, or what I thought I should want, based on external expectations and projections, that this is what it looks like to have a great relationship. And when I was honest with myself, I stopped doing that. And I was looking at, wow, I'm kind of quirky. I'm creative. I live in Colorado, but I actually don't love going into the mountains. So someone who's super sporty is not going to be my person. And before, I had made some assumptions that I had to be that. There's no one out there. If I'm not that, I'm not going to find someone. So there's a real honesty that occurred that revealed my values, and also revealed where I wasn't living my values anymore. How many times have I talked to women and they're like, I'm just not having that much fun. I talked to someone yesterday. She's like, I love your colors. I love this. I really want something different, and yet I'm not doing it. So it kind of helps you check in with yourself to see, am I even living my values? So that piece is also huge.
Yes. Wow. That is so true. One of the things I found with relationships and working with people that discuss relationships with me, or they're, am I going to get a divorce now? And what happens is, a lot of times they'll go into dating and they are trying so hard to be what they think that other person wants them to be, that they have lost their essence of truth 100% almost. And they're like, okay, now I've got to like their music, do everything they do, live to their expectations, all this stuff. And at a certain point in life, I mean, at a certain point, you're like, I'm not willing to make those kind of concessions anymore. I'm like, I'm not doing that full time. And at a certain point, the mask has to come off, and they, you say, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this, but really they did, because they were pretending to be somebody they're not.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I had an experience even before I fully entered into my journey to change my love life, where I had met someone, and he was this really dreamy, handsome realtor. He was rich. He was funny. He dressed really great. He was really an amazing person and he liked me. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. I thought this was it. I thought he was the one. And then soon after that, my parents came into town to see my new house and to visit, and they met him and they sat me down, which was so different than any experience I've ever had with them. I knew something was really up. They sat me down and they said, Macy, if you think you're going to keep a man like that, you're going to have to stop being so weird. And I was devastated. And here's the clincher with this, is that I felt horrible. I felt like, oh my God, my parents don't even like me. But what I discovered in hindsight, which, spoiler alert, he broke up with me 2 weeks later and it fell apart. But that I actually I was trying to be this woman. I was like dressed more conservatively. I didn't reveal a lot of aspects of me. I was trying to be that woman, exactly what you're just talking about. Like I was trying to be that sexy, smart, sophisticated woman, which I'm those things, but it looks a lot different now. So what I realized was I wasn't being me, and what my parents knew of me was totally different than what I was showing him. So it was such a huge reveal to actually turn the tables and say, wait a minute, what do I want? What would I love? What would be really an amazing person for me? And that gave me a lot of information and awareness about how I was approaching dating, because I was going at it like, I want them to like me. I want them to like me. So when you're doing that, you're hiding a lot of who you are. And then to your point, years down the road, you're like, wait a minute, how did I end up with this guy? It makes no sense because you weren't you in the first place.
Exactly. And you know what? That guy, like you found your right guy, a good fit, is the person out there that's looking for beautiful, authentic you, however you show up in your truth and essence. That person can't find you when you're pretending to be what you think people want.
Exactly. I mean, you're invisible to the person. That's why the inner work to get beyond any of the inner insecurities and fears and limitations, which are, unusual because we don't learn about relationships. So what are we doing? We're doing what I did. I was taking it from fairy tales. I was taking it from magazines, from 17 magazine, and all of the different things that unconsciously made my handbook for relationship that isn't actually what it takes. So this is so critical. So, it was that inner work that I did that helped me get to me and helped me get the awareness of who I was and what I valued, and really getting past these interesting masks we wear unconsciously.
Right. And I think I've had people that I love dearly that are relationship kind of people. And at some point they're like, I remember I had a big discussion about this, and she told me, you won't be happy until you're in this relationship. You won't find full happiness. And I said, wait a minute, I'm happy every day. And she visited me for a few weeks, and she said she never laughed so much in her life, because we laugh all the time. I'm just a fun person. And so like, I'm happy. There's things that happen in my life that of course you're going to grieve, or you're going to go through your stages, but my happiness is where my go-to emotion that I kind of live at. And I said, no, I'm happy. I'm not giving power to person, place, or thing to bring me happiness. What I would love is to find somebody that's aligned with me, that we can have even more happiness and enjoy that. But imagine I want that person, place, or thing, whatever it is for you, to bring me all my happiness. Nobody wants to make somebody happy 24 hours a day. That's just not going to fly. It's just like,
no, that's a lot of pressure. No one's signing up for that. And, and, that is what I would say is the third key. So, I mean, the first one was choosing. The second one was really, getting clear as to who you are and who your person is. And then the third one is choosing those things that light you up. If you notice that it feels bad to do the things you're doing or to think the thoughts you're thinking, then there's something else you can choose. So it's choosing again, to your point, like you're the creator of your life. You're the one that's creating your happiness. And what's more attractive than anything in the world anyway is a happy person who knows who they are. And I'm sure that for me, I noticed that just having that habit of being aware of what I am creating for myself,
yes,
and knowing my power around that is amazing.
That is wonderful. And that is so true. It is really interesting how that happens. And sometimes I think when people place that burden on another person, male or female, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just a lot, and it's not really that person's job in the relationship is not to make the other person happy. It is, of course, you love somebody, you share time with them, you have a beautiful relationship, but that's not your full-time job. And that's the thing that some people think they're going to find a relationship to give them everything they've ever wanted. And that's back to the fairy tales. I'm like, okay,
right.
you get a frog, you get a prince, they marry you, you live happily ever after, right? And
yeah.
Okay, good luck with that, because relationships take a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's a lot of pressure on the other person, but it's a lot of struggle for yourself to think, okay, until this happens, that you can't actually just create what you would like in your life. I mean, one of the things I remember happening so many times, and I see it with other people, is when you are giddy in love and you have that like, oh, how many times have you had other people interested in you at that point?
Oh, yes.
It's because your love vibe is so high that it is irresistible, and that doesn't have to wait. I mean, choosing love is choosing love now, and it's more important to understand that your journey, the energy of the journey, the quality of your journey is what you are going to attract. So if you're like, oh, I hate dating, online, boo, yuck, hiss, then how are you supposed to get greater than that? If you're in the process and you're like, wow, what will it take to have fun with this? And you've done the inner work to get beyond the things that keep you stuck in a mindset that is kind of loveless, maybe, then it becomes a totally different experience. And that's what I see with my clients all the time. And honestly, from that space, it doesn't take long to attract an amazing person. And this is what I love about my work so much, is that I'm immersed in people's love stories, and it's so fun.
All right. I'd love to hear more about how people can connect with you and more about your programs and what you're offering with the relationship work.
Sure. What I offer is, well, there's a lot of different things. Over time, I'm very creative in how I teach and offer services, but my core program is the Super Love System. And I work with people one-on-one, typically women who are, aware that they would like to have a love relationship, and maybe it hasn't happened before. Maybe they've had a difficult marriage or something. Oftentimes, these are people who are aware that there's some kind of block for them, whether it's a pain from the past or their own insecurities or fears, because together we do processes that get to the root of those issues so that they can change, so that you can date from a place that feels expansive and fun, and you actually are that magnetic match So one of the tools I use is called regenerating images in memory, and it's a process that works with the subconscious, and that works really fast to heal those relationship traumas. And in this, I also help people with the logistical stuff, how to write that profile that has that sweet invitation for their person to know, oh yes, that's the one for me. So that it makes it really a quicker process to find more people who align with you and the quality matches that you're looking for. And then the final piece is you meet someone and you really like them. How many times have we had something right in our hands that's been so great and then it's fallen apart because we've sabotaged it out of unconscious fears? So really working with developing those foundations so that love lasts and we have the skills to do it.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is incredible and something so needed. I think this year more than ever, there's a realization that we need community, we need relationships, friendships, intimate relationships, all that is even more important when you have our universal pause happen and all these interesting things show up and you realize people first, relationships.
I know. I've been nicknaming it apocalyptic love because
I
you know
love
we all went into this lockdown, and what I saw from people is this whole like swarm of people who had been distracted by their lives in fun ways, networking, going out, yoga retreats, like really busy with things, and then realizing, wait a minute, or building their careers, whatever it is,
right.
that they realize, I don't want to do life alone. And now that there was less interaction, that became that wake up call. And then there's other people who obviously are waking up in relationships. They're hunkered down together for extended periods of time. Like, this isn't working for me.
Right.
Like, this isn't working. So apocalyptic love is that awareness that what really matters as a human on the earth is meaningful connections, and it's okay to not know how to do that. It's something that we can learn, and we need to learn it because no one taught us this. So what people tend to do, which is kind of a pain against themselves, is make themselves so wrong. Like, I should have been able to figure this out. This should just happen. Look, it happened for Tammy and Sally, and look, it's so easy for everyone else. And they just found someone. And the truth of the matter is that 49% of all marriages fail. And even more than that, the relationships are suffering and not working out, but they're locked in financially or this or that. So it actually is an important thing to learn. And that's what I'm here to do, is to help people learn how to have healthy, happy relationships.
Beautiful. So we are coming to the end of our interview talk here today, and I'd love to have you share how people can connect with you and sign up for your program and find that love they've been looking for.
Thank you. Well, my website is www.bighappylove.com. And you can go to my website. I have a free masterclass called How to Be the CEO of Your Love Life and Win at Love Without Losing Yourself Along the Way. That's a great free class to take and get a taste of what you can do to make some shifts right away. And certainly you can email me at macy@bighappylove.com.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for tuning in. We will be back after a short break.